So I kind of didn't understand the assignment at first, but I came around. My name is David Erickson. I am from rural Illinois, out in the Illinois River Valley, outside of a city called Peoria, which is where Caterpillar is. I grew up on a river bluff along the Illinois River. This is my house with the massive landslide starting, instigated by my dad getting a skid steer for his 50th birthday. And I used to, as a kid, since we didn't have neighbors, or I didn't have that many, well, I didn't have friends at first. I'm an acquired taste. Get better with age. So, be a great older man. So right here, we are situated in the valley, halfway in the middle, and then on top there used to be this old foundation that used to be some moonshiners that would watch out over Illinois Route 26, and they would make their own alcohol, and then that cabin burnt down. So I would play in their foundations as my sense of refuge. So the idea is that you get up to the top of the hill. If you can see in this picture, you can get a good view of the river. And then, I guess if you I'll flip this over. First one would be what to do with this hole in the ground. I wanted a swimming pool. We couldn't really afford one. So I took all the leftover tarps from our flat roof, dragged them up there, and tried to fill the hole with water before my dad found me, draining all of our well. So there's a lesson about soil and how rich it is and how much it can absorb all the water and not fill up beyond an inch. So the approach to this site is you're going through the woods and you approach this hole in the ground that is it's kind of a fun environment. It's 4 feet deep, and it used to be this lovely cabin, which was here. So this is just to bring you to the approach. It was a cabin.
Did you see the cabin?
No, I'm guessing.
Okay.
I'm guessing. And in fact, I was told it was moonshiners from my parents, and my mom has a vivid imagination, so it could be a lot of other things. But she is a great storyteller. So this was basically what it used to be. I tried to draw a section about why was part of it had a 4-foot deep hole in the ground, and why did the other part not? And so I imagined they probably had a cellar where they would hide all the alcohol, which is where I would play.
So the 4 feet was down.
Yeah, so you get up to the top of the hill and then you go down 4 feet. And so then I would like to build my little shacks out of styrofoam, anything I can find in the house, a lot of unenvironmentally friendly materials. I would usually rummage through and find sticks in the woods and then lay those within the existing stone retaining wall. And so that is basically the start of how I'd move through inhabiting a ruin. And I would do this multiple times to other ruins too. We used to ride our bikes at an old abandoned Marlboro gas station in the town about 5 minutes down the road. And that was called the Marlboro Trail because it has pavement and there's nobody there. When I'd go home for Christmas to my grandma's place down in Roswell, New Mexico, we would usually play in the alleys and in the abandoned garages that no one lived in and no one used. And then my dad's rural South Dakota town, his whole town is a ghost town, so we'd usually play within those existing storefronts. There's an old bank vault. And so I guess we always lived where nobody else lived, but where they used to live. And our family's stubborn, so we usually hold on when everyone else leaves. So I tried to build like a diagrammatic model of maybe the beginning of how to re-inhabit a ruin and what kind of spatial qualities you can get. And I picked this wormy chestnut that I got from the gas station. Or not gas station, Gas and Wyatt. Sorry, different furniture maker. And started understanding that these eroding structures, they have a diaphanous quality, they also have a heavy quality, and it's funny to have those two paired together. And then what kind of microclimate you can get within a walled boundary and within a walled courtyard. And then what kind of opportunities you can have with a structure that is still somewhat in place, because that's what it was meant to do, is hold up the building, but at the same time halfway gone. And so it's in this middle zone where you get to kind of play with this third nature, as Gilles Clement would often talk about, is, you know, there's the landscape and then there's the urban setting, but then there's this third one where once people have left, nature takes back what is theirs. And so that's kind of like where I've like this land. Yeah. Yeah.
David, were you a kid, would you inhabit like within the walls of the ruin, or
Yeah.
actually use the walls that were left?
I would use 2 walls usually to build against. Like if you can imagine in this guy, if I built this tent, I would usually build it up against 2 walls, use 2 walls for structure, and I'd build one straight wall, and then I'd lay sticks on top, and then put the light styrofoam, because I wanted it to be waterproof. But what ended up happening is I'd leave the structure there, and the raccoons would end up inhabiting it, and then I'd never go back. And I'd find a new place. We also had box caves and other structures that I started with.
This is in New Mexico you're talking
No,
about?
this one's hypothetical. It could be in Unityville, South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Or, yeah, South Dakota and New Mexico. Mom's from New Mexico, Dad's from South Dakota, and both are abandoned in some sorts.
Somehow you ended up in Illinois.
Caterpillar. Parents are engineers. So, hence why my dad
Boy,
makes
what great varied landscapes you got to find.
Yeah, not many cities either. So, it's kind of great. I'm a city kid, I think. But, just because I take it for granted.
Who wants to go next?